When you're the best seller in your segment for over 2 decades, you gotta wonder, where do we go from here? How do we continue to improve and to ensure that our vehicle's nameplate will survive the next 5 to 10 years down the road? Well, one way is to remain affordable, reliable, fuel efficient, and also being a great overall value. Toyota has checked off all those boxes throughout the last 30 years, but I think for 2025, Toyota has taken a huge step forward, and in fact, they've elevated themselves to the stratosphere with this sedan. In this video, we're going to check out the exterior, the interior, take it out for a quick test drive, and see why, if you are looking at buying a sedan in 2024, heading into 2025, the Toyota Camry might be the best option in this market. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to AutoFair Toyota in Tewksbury, Massachusetts for letting me come down here to check out the new Toyota Camry. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Toyota inventory. So as always, let's begin with pricing. The model today is the XLE, coming in at just over $33,000, which really isn't too bad for a midsize sedan in this market when you're comparing it to a Hyundai Sonata, Honda Accord, and a Subaru Legacy. But then when you factor in going with all-wheel drive and the optional packages, that's where you could be spending over $43,000 at the end of the day. And that's where I'd argue that the XLE is a luxury car in the middle 2020s, which would be laughable to make that claim a couple of years ago, and you'd probably say, I can't take you seriously. But when you take a look at the creature comforts and the overall driving environment you have here with this car, you could theoretically cross-shop it with an Acura, Infiniti, or Lexus. The only pushback would be that this car no longer offers a V6, so it would need a better powertrain to compete in the luxury market. At $43,000, this car makes a solid claim for itself to be the next sedan in your driveway. When you take a look at the exterior of this car though, you're probably thinking, isn't it all new? Actually, it's not. It is built on the same platform and chassis as last generation. The only difference here is that Toyota did make some revisions to the suspension to make it handle better, but also to take on that extra weight with the electric motors. And you notice that from the side profile with the body lines and body panels, it kind of looks like a 2024 model, and you see that with the silhouette. But when you take a look at the front fascia, that's where it's all new. That's where this car looks sleek, stunning, and dare I say, a bit like a Toyota Prius, which if you had made that claim 20 years ago, if you told somebody that a future Camry would look like a Prius, that person would be floored and beside themselves because they wouldn't be able to believe it. They wouldn't be able to handle that. In the 2020s, Toyota has made owning a hybrid very compelling and enjoyable, and it only makes sense that Toyota would do the same with the Camry and its design elements. Now, I'd also argue that with the LED headlight design, kind of reminds me of a Toyota Crown Signia, which I think is one of the best looking Toyotas over the last 20 years or so. One thing that I can really appreciate about the 2025 Camry is that each trim has its own distinct appearance. So with the lower portion of the front bumper, you are going to notice the front grille. And on the outskirts of that front grille will be a honeycomb mesh design, which would be far more pronounced with the XSE, and you do see that with the SE. Whereas the LE looks a bit more pedestrian, so it takes elements from other trims and it just has its own unique appearance on the roadways. Now, better yet, I think with this car, it does look a bit more dynamic than it did in the past, and Toyota has been doubling down on their performance lately. So you're gonna notice the striking body lines on the hood, but also I love the aerodynamic look of the headlight housings as well. Better yet, and this goes a long way for a mainstream manufacturer, is that you are going to have functional air vents throughout the front fascia. So you're going to have the large front grille in the lower portion of the front bumper, also a small narrow grille just above that, and more importantly is active side air curtains. You don't typically find that in the mainstream markets, where usually you're going to have the fake grille design and it just doesn't look good. With those active side air curtains, they'll provide better airflow to cool off those brakes and to make this car drive a lot better on the roadways. Then when you take a look at the side profile, you are going to have a nice unique design for the 18-inch alloy wheels, which I think not only looks upscale, but also rather sporty and aggressive. This would be the wheel package I would go with if I was looking at buying a Toyota Camry for 2025. You're also going to have color matched side mirror caps with blind spot detection and rear cross traffic alert. They're also folding as well. In typical XLE fashion, you're also going to notice the chrome accents that outline the window, again reminding you that this is the luxe trim for this model year. Then making your way around to the back, this is where the XLE is very rewarding for those who want a more upscale and luxurious look to their car, because you are going to have LED taillights that will not be found on the SE or LE, so this would be the choice to go with if you want more of a luxury sedan at around $34,000. What I also love too is that there is some contrasting accents for the lower portion of the rear bumper, and tucked beneath you are going to have a physical exhaust outlet, which for a hybrid, to me, I do like that. That's a nice touch. And then to wrap up the rear fascia, you are going to notice the Camry badge written on the trunk, which is very trendy and classy for 2025. Under the hood for the XLE and for all trims for 2025, you are going to get a 2.5 liter hybrid 4-cylinder engine, and if you do go with all-wheel drive, you'll receive 232 horsepower combining with that electric motor. Now, all-wheel drive also adds an electric motor to the rear end, giving you that all-wheel drive capability. And if you are somebody who does live in colder regions of the US and you want that year-round versatility and capability, go with the all-wheel drive. Now, if you were to go with front-wheel drive, you're only missing out on 7 horsepower. And as we're going to find out later on in this video, this engine is actually very respectable in its segment. More importantly though, for the Camry, it's all about that fuel efficiency. And with the XLE, you're going to receive 48 miles per gallon in the city and 47 miles per gallon on the highway. And that is the benefit of going with hybrid technology for this generation. I think a lot of buyers who purchased Camrys in the past were going for the lower trims. They wanted a car that was just economical and fuel efficient. And now that is just standard across the board for all 4 trims. So I think it definitely is going to appeal to the buyer that purchases this car most often, because if you are an enthusiast, most likely you're probably going with the Supra or GR86. However, with this 2.5, I do think you're going to have a lot of fun with this car on a daily basis when you are entering highways or passing those slower drivers. Stepping inside the XLE, you're greeted by power adjustable and heated leather seats for both the driver and passenger, with the driver's side having 2-position memory for added convenience, and also, as always, a tilt and telescopic steering column. But before we focus on the optional packages and features that we have equipped on our XLE today, let's talk about the driving environment for a minute. You have a full digital gauge cluster, which is so great to see in the Camry because Toyota for the longest time gave you analog gauges. And I know a lot of traditional buyers will say, I miss those, I wish they still offered them. Why did they have to go fully digital? Well, mostly because Hyundai, Kia, and of course, Honda are moving in that direction. So Toyota has to stay competitive in that regard. But even though this digital gauge cluster isn't very in-depth, the resolution and quality is on par with its closest rivals. And I also like the fact that you now have this more modern appearance to the interior. Then taking a look at your infotainment system, you have a 12.3-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. As always with Toyota's new head unit, you can subscribe for onboard navigation, but most likely you'll just go with Google Maps or Waze. Now, this is found in a lot of other Toyota products, which we have featured in the past, and it's also found in modern Lexuses. So it's not really as impressive to see this in the Camry, although compared to last generation, this is far more upscale and in line with Honda and Kia and of course Hyundai. Beneath that, you are going to notice physical buttons for your dual zone climate control up front and also your front and rear defrosters and AC. A lot of manufacturers are moving away from physical buttons and dials, so I think a lot of you are going to appreciate that here with the 2025 Camry. And just beneath that will be 2 center mounted air vents, giving you some nice airflow to the interior, whether it is hot or cold outside. Beneath that, you are going to find 2 USB-C inputs, a USB-A outlet, a wireless phone charging pad, a decent sized cubby for a wallet or a smartphone. What I also love too is that the cup holders blend in very well with this center console. And better yet, it is in gloss black, so a bit of a classy touch here. You're going to notice next to your gear shifter, your drive mode selector. So you have Eco, Normal, Sport, and EV mode. But you're also going to have your auto vehicle hold and electronic parking brake. And of course, you will have a center storage compartment, which is decently sized here, where you are going to find a 12-volt outlet. And I think you could easily store a couple wallets, phones, and other smaller gadgets. Returning to the dashboard and door panels, you are going to find this cloth or microfiber material here, which I think is very bold from Toyota. Now, I don't think they're the first ones to do this because I saw it in the Mazda CX-90. It's actually a nice classy touch for the interior. Obviously, this is not going to be a BMW fighter or Audi fighter, so you're not going to have the soft touch materials on the dashboard here. You're not going to have a leather stitch dashboard or anything like that. But I think that when you are driving on a longer commute or on that road trip, you can really relax here. The center console and just the way the dashboard is wrapping around you, it does feel like a fighter jet-like cockpit in here, which I know a lot of you are going to love, and I most certainly love because I prefer having those luxurious qualities that's not typically found in the mainstream markets. But since we are taking a look at a very well-equipped XLE, let's discuss the packages that we have here for 2025. So our model is equipped with the Premium Plus package, which goes without saying the Premium package would also be equipped with that. So you are going to have a panoramic glass roof, which as you can tell, we have it equipped on our model today, bringing in a lot of natural light to the interior. But on top of the fact that you have the heated front seats, they also become ventilated as well, which is perfect on a nice hot day like today. Your speaker system will also be upgraded to the 9-speaker JBL Premium audio system, which will amplify the audio of your favorite music. Better yet, and this is why I think the XLE is moving in the direction of being more of a luxurious sedan, you will have a head-up display, which is so great to have. Also, it keeps your eyes on the road rather than taking a look at your digital gauge cluster. So you are going to have traffic sign recognition, also, of course, your digital speedometer, and what gear you're in. And as I already mentioned, we do have 2-position memory for the driver's side, but that also includes the outside mirrors as well. So really cool to see here for a vehicle in this price range. Now, with the Premium Plus package, this adds a lot more safety features to the equation, giving you traffic jam assist, front cross traffic alert, lane change assist, a panoramic front view monitor, so you're going to have better camera angles here with the XLE, front and rear parking sensors, and of course front and rear parking assist, automatic braking, rear cross traffic alert, and a driver monitor camera. So if you are somebody that is distracted by your phone, which you should not be looking at your phone when you're out driving, or maybe you're looking at something on the center console, the car will notify you to pay attention. So that is a nice safety feature to have here. And then wrapping up the front seating area and this infotainment system, you will have a 360-degree top view camera with the XLE, giving you better visibility when you are parking on a city street or in a tight garage. Then for passengers in the second row, they're looking at right on 38 inches of legroom, which is respectable in this segment, but does fall behind the Honda Accord. So far today, when you take a look at the exterior and interior, that's probably the only aspect where the Camry does fall a bit short, because I think you're definitely going to like what this car is offering in regards to its luxurious persona and interior space, but I think passengers in the back will be sacrificing a little bit here if you do go with the Camry. Now, I adjusted the seat in front of me most of the way back. It's also somewhat on a recline, and I have plenty of legroom back here where I can kind of stretch my legs a bit. In regards to headroom, though, that's where I think if you have passengers on the height of 6 feet tall and above, they will most certainly be hitting their head on the headliner, especially with the panoramic moonroof that we have equipped on our model today. In regards to shoulder room, plenty of it. I do think you can try squeezing in a third person in the center, but that's where I would say go with the Toyota RAV4 if you do have a larger family and you need that interior space. Now, also when it pertains to the features that you have here in the XLE, I am a bit surprised that we do not get heated outboard seats. Now, maybe I'm asking for too much here for a vehicle at around $40,000, but I would have thought that that would have been included, especially with the optional packages available for this model year. You are going to have 2 center-mounted air vents and a USB-A and USB-C input. I'm actually surprised that Toyota is still using the USB-A outlets, which to me I'm happy to see because I still have USB-A cords. But a lot of manufacturers are moving towards USB-C. So I think for a lot of you who have older iPhones and just older technology to begin with, you're going to love the USB-A outlets. Then to round out the second row seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Then as we make our way around to the back one more time to take a look at the rear cargo area, of course you're not going to have a power trunk. That would be reserved for a luxury car at around $50,000 or $60,000. But inside behind the second row seats, you're looking at right on 15.1 cubic feet of room, which is identical to last generation because we still have the same platform here underpinning this Camry. I was able to fit all my camera gear today, no problem. So I have 3 bags of camera gear, a gimbal box, and a tripod. And there's a larger box here, which is probably for some floor mats or anything else that is accessories to this car. And I still had more space to maybe put in some grocery bags or other camera bags. So if you are going on a road trip with the family, I think you could easily store 8 or 9 bags of luggage back here, no problem. Then of course you can lower the second row seats to maximize the cargo capacity. And if you are looking for an overall practical car with the interior space that you're not going to find in a compact or subcompact sedan, I would say go with the Camry, especially if you don't want to buy a crossover heading into next year. And now that we've gone over everything, let's take the new 2025 Toyota Camry out for a quick test drive. For a car that's built on the exact same platform as its predecessor, Toyota has really outdone themselves here for the 2025 Toyota Camry and the 9th generation. Typically, when you have a car that carries over on the same platform, not much is different. Sure, they give the car a facelift, maybe you get some new technology, but the driving dynamics and driving experience is pretty much the exact same. But the 2025 Toyota Camry is very different in that way. Not only did they drop the V6, but now you only have a 2.5-liter hybrid 4-cylinder available to you. Now, as I mentioned before, our model does have all-wheel drive, giving us peak performance at 232 horsepower. More importantly, in regards to the chassis, the suspension, and the overall ride quality, this is far more refined than what you had last year at this time. It basically feels like a Lexus, but for a car priced under $40,000. Now, I know a number of you are going to be asking, well, what are your thoughts on the Camry versus the Accord? And I think Honda got the Accord all wrong. They did everything right with the Civic, but the Accord was a major leap backwards. The Toyota Camry, on the other hand, what they've done here, they played it safe, but by playing it safe, they propelled this sedan further than it was in the past. Now it's a car that can survive in the 2020s by being fuel efficient, by being a car that does feel upscale, very high quality. And for a car that is priced under $40,000, just take a look at the interior. I mean, a full digital gauge cluster, nice infotainment system. While I wouldn't say the Camry is a luxury car in any way, shape, or form, just in terms of its handling and maneuverability, and just other characteristics you wouldn't find in a BMW, Audi, or Mercedes-Benz, this almost feels like a bargain. This feels like a steal for a car in its segment. Ride quality, even with the 18s, is pretty smooth. Road noise at around 40 miles an hour, you don't really hear too much of it. But I think more importantly here, when you're accelerating off the line, when you're cruising on some back roads, is this eCVT. Now, we all know that CVTs are not the best transmissions. You get the rubber band effect, you get the constant droning. But when you're driving in the city and suburbs, when you're not flooring this car at all, it does mimic a traditional automatic transmission. And because it's not droning, and this 4-cylinder is relatively quiet, it does feel like you're driving a Prius. And I have felt that with the 5th generation technology for the hybrid systems that Toyota is using, this just might be the best hybrid system out there on the market right now. Because when you are using the EV mode only, and then when you get into that throttle a bit too much and it turns off, there's none of that transition period between the electric motor and the gas motor, and a lot of hybrids don't do that very well. So as we're going to enter the highway here, let's put the Camry in sport mode, and steering definitely gets weighted here. Now, without a sports tune suspension, this is not going to be a sports sedan experience. But for a Japanese manufacturer, for a Japanese sedan, the steering and the firmness of this steering is pretty impressive. You are going to have some feedback in the corners, which to me does go a long way. At highway speeds at around 70 miles an hour, not too much road noise, which is good to see. But more importantly, there's plenty of torque on demand. And we'll get back on the highway because this was not a good setup here with this convoy of trucks. I have plenty of confidence to pass slower drivers in the next lane over to my right. And usually for hybrids, they're lethargic. They're not fun to drive. They're, dare I say, a bit boring. But the Camry, unlike the Honda Accord, bucks that trend. And I do think that by moving on from the naturally aspirated four-cylinder from last generation, that was the right decision. As we exit the highway, on the brakes, nice and strong. You can slow down pretty well here. Obviously they're not Brembos, so don't expect to take this on some winding back road in the mountains and have a lot of fun with it, but definitely provides the confidence that you're looking for. Now, in regards to the overall vision you have here behind the wheel of the Camry, A-pillars are super thin, so I don't think you'll have any blind spots when you are approaching intersections or red lights. Then taking a look at your side mirrors, they are decently sized. I can see what's my blind spots. And then looking out back, again, with this being a sedan, I can see what's directly behind me, so a lot of vision here. Now there is some body roll here at around 50 miles an hour, but love this torque. It kicks in right around mid-range, and you can easily accelerate and merge onto highways very safely. You also get the propulsion from those electric motors too, which I absolutely love. Toyota has most certainly proven that you can be economical, you can be efficient, you can be affordable, and you can have a car that's still fun to drive at the end of the day. And to me, that goes a long way. All in all, after this quick test drive, there's no way that the Camry is not going to outsell the Accord for the next 5-10 years. This is a much more enjoyable car. Its styling is better. Its interior is far more advanced. I do like the technology, but I think as an enthusiast, as someone who wants to have some great driving dynamics, the Camry has a sense of sportiness that you're not going to find from Honda. So all in all, I think the Camry for 2025 is a great all-around daily driver, and dare I say, this might be the best generation yet. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this review of the 2025 Toyota Camry XLE. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time.